We here at the Dub Talk podcast would like to remind you that this is not the feature Revue Starlight the movie. Rather, this is a podcast discussion of the film and its English dub. If you would like to watch the film, it is available for streaming from High Dive, as well as on DVD and Blu-ray from Sentai Filmworks, other fine anime retailers, or digital storefronts. Warning: the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. This episode will contain spoilers for Revue Starlight the movie, the series proper, and possibly other anime. Please be advised. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and do not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Please enjoy the show.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to Dub Talk, the show where a group of friends get together, put on our best costumes, look back at our glory days, and watch as the curtain rise as we try to murder each other to claim the top spot. Tonight, I am your host, Megan, and my fellow actors tonight are Jet.
I understand.
And Jackson.
For the last time, I don't want to hear it. Giraffes are awesome. I love giraffes.
And we welcome you to Summer at the Movies, the time when we get together, watch a bunch of movies, and talk about their dubs. And tonight, we are going to get to revisit a franchise that we did a Dub Talk episode a little while ago on, but now we're here to talk about it again, Revue Starlight the movie. And I believe all three of us were not on the original Revue Starlight episode.
I don't think I was a member of the pod at the time.
I might have been. I know I was pretty into the show.
But yes, we are here to talk about Revue Starlight the movie, which is, I'm not going to beat around the bush, a direct finale to the show. So, we will be spoiling the anime. We will also be spoiling this film. And again, if you've gotten through this intro and you think, wow, this is really weird, why isn't the movie starting? This isn't the movie. This is a bunch of weirdos talking about it, right, guys?
Indeed. Thank you for your 1+ view.
In truth, this is actually just 3 giraffes having a conversation.
I don't know what sound a giraffe makes. Wakaimasu.
Kiri. Well, kirin's the word for giraffe. But, yeah, let me go over and give you a quick summary of the film. The stage girls of the Seisho Music Academy's 99th graduating class succeeded in their revolution and avoided tragedy in their second performance of Starlight. As their senior year waxes on, Hikari leaves Karen yet again, and all the girls find themselves wrestling with feelings of anxiety and betrayal as the jagged maw of graduation threatens to shred their precious bonds. This is a movie about growing up, the promises you've made in the past, and how they push you towards the future. And it is kind of insane.
Dear God, the spectacle on display here.
Yeah, basically I feel like the easiest way to summarize this movie, it's the really theater kids version of just dealing with graduation anxiety.
It is also, by far, one of the gayest movies you'll ever watch.
Overdramatic gay theater kids. Name a more potent combination.
Theater kids and a Denny's after their last performance. Or, I don't know, Waffle House and food poisoning. They kind of go together. I'm sorry, not Waffle House. The Waffle House is a bastion. That's IHOP that gives you food poisoning. So, let's kick into our director and our writer. Our director for this is John Swayze, who also happened to helm the dub of the show. And the writer is Joel McCrea. John Swayze has directed other series such as After the Rain, Iridoku, The World in Colors, and Waiting in the Summer. Joel McCrea has written for series such as Ahiro no Sora, Blade of the Immortal, the 2019 series, and Getter Robo Arc. I should also mention that outside of writing, Joel McCrea's most other credit was actually Blu-ray authoring.
Many such cases.
Yeah, it sounds about right for Sentai.
Yeah.
Everyone wears every hat. Bryson Bogus has also got to do, ADR prep.
Yeah, he used to do, I think he used to do QC at Sentai. So, how do you guys feel about the direction and writing on the dub?
So, script, I think, is pretty solid. It seems to be a pretty direct adaptation, which is probably the correct decision for a show like this. This is definitely a show with a lot of, prose and definitely not quite. Okay, no, it is pretty much about as heavy on the metaphors as an Ikuhara thing. This is... You could convince me this is an Ikuhara show if I didn't know who was directing it. Yeah, I think it does do a good job of kind of leading into a lot of the. I mean, I don't want to say like vagueness, but I guess a lot of the. I guess a lot of like metaphor-driven structure this story is going for, and I think in that respect, Joel does a pretty good job with it. As far as the voice direction goes, I recall being a little bit mixed on the TV anime. There were some performances I thought were pretty strong, and others that I thought were a bit underwhelming. And I gotta be honest, I kind of felt the same way with the movie. Like, there's some pretty strong performances in here, especially towards the back half. But the early parts of the movie I thought sounded a little wonky. Maybe it was just everyone getting back in character after, so maybe it was just a little bit of an adjustment. But it did feel like the early parts of the movie were a little rough on the direction front, and then it really tightened up towards the back half, and I thought the performances there were pretty strong.
Yeah, I watched the TV show for the first time earlier this year, I think it was. And I was also kind of underwhelmed by the dubcast and production there. I did end up switching over to the Japanese, besides like a couple of performances I did want to hear. This is a much stronger showing, I feel. Yeah, which leads me to be surprised that it is all of the same people involved on this, because I have much nicer things to say about this movie. I wonder if a part of that is, if I recall correctly, this was one of the first, Sentai called them dubcasts, same day simuldubs back in the day, and that led to some issues, as I recall. Again, I didn't watch it until this year. But no, this is a much stronger production. I agree correctly that, yeah, there is a lot of metaphorical dialogue going on. A lot of really strong, I'm going to say symbolism, but I don't think that's quite what I mean. But yeah, in the back half, especially, they are playing to the back seats, which is leading them to dig deep and pull everything out. They're able to get much more out of their cast this time around. So my initial impressions right now are I'm much more impressed.
Yeah, for me, I had always been kind of very mixed on the dubcast. I feel like a lot of people, I think, use this dub in particular to kind of shit on Sentai dubs, if you know what I mean.
I think it escaped the normal dub circles, I do recall.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a gap between when they recorded the show and when they did the movie. Because the show came out in July of 2018, and the movie wouldn't come out until the summer of 2021. So there's a decent gap between these movies. And I think the dub probably would have come out in 2022. So it was like a 4-year gap between all of this. And I do genuinely remember that when the original show for Revue Starlight came out, that the first episode was caught off guard insanity. Absolute insanity. And the dubcast started on August 4th of 2018. So it was like about a month behind when that aired. And I do have to agree that I was also in the camp of genuinely not being very impressed with the show's dub. I found it very okay. I found some of the performances particularly weak. And I do think that maybe because of the foundations that were put in casting-wise from the show did affect the movie a bit. And this isn't me saying that anybody gives a terrible or bad performance. Some of the performances are just very okay. They are serviceable, but not outstanding. But there are some performances in here that are all-time highlights for certain people. That being said, I do think that the writing is good, but I'm also somebody who is hyper aware of people who are super into the idea of like Japanese theater performances in anime. Like, let's be real, if you've ever heard me on the show or met me in real life, like one of my favorite series of all time is Kageki Shoujo, which is a far more grounded take on a very similar subject.
Yeah, my friend was telling me, who was familiar with, has a history with the series, was telling me that this is based on stage plays.
Yes.
First, before an anime.
Yes. And there's nothing against that, because one of my other favorite projects that has come out in the last, 5 to 10 years is Mars Red, which is similar. Mars Red's dub is also a lot better than this, but that's another story. I think the biggest issue I had seen was that super fan of the franchise and super fan of Tazaraka Theater, Charlene Ingram. I cannot find the tweet, but she was not a huge fan of the translation and the dub work for this. Specifically the script. To me, as somebody who did watch the show primarily in Japanese, but didn't get the chance to watch the movie sub before dubbed, unfortunately, due to time constraints and health issues, the script sounded fine. It had the moments that it needed to. There are some pronunciation things I'm a little bit weird about. Like, what the fuck was that pronunciation of Nietzsche? It's not a bad dub. I think it's just a very, 7 out of 10 kind of dub for me. It's serviceable. It has some standout moments. It's not terrible, but it's also kind of one of those things of why people don't associate Sentai with excellent dubbing. Not that Sentai isn't capable of doing that. And this is not my words. This is my interpretation of, being around people who watch dubs, but are very not used to Sentai dubs. For them, a lot of really good Sentai dubs are like a mid-range Funimation Crunchyroll dub. And in this case, I don't know if I 100% agree, but I do think that maybe a little bit more polish could have been put on this. Maybe. I do think that a lot of performances did improve from the TV show, though.
I was just gonna say, bad Sentai dubs only being about, mid-tier Funimation is a little bit unfair. I have heard some really good stuff from Sentai. They can do some really great stuff when they're firing on all cylinders.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't cite this as one of those examples, but, they are capable of some really good stuff. John Swayze has done some of my favorite Sentai dubs.
Yeah, mine being After the Rain is, one of Sentai's best dubs, so...
Exactly. The TV show is very, median what we expect from Sentai. Not one of their best, not one of their worst. It's right down the middle of, this is what I tend to get out of them.
Yeah, and Jet, what I was saying was I don't think a good Sentai dub is equivalency to, a mid-range Funimation dub. This is just...
I know, this was just, a general thing about, I guess, what you were hearing.
Yeah, and I've said this before, too, because I've had disappointments with Funimation dubs, too. This is one of those shows where, you kind of wish that the dub was such a 9 out of 10 for what it is, because it's not an original. But God, I remember that the day that everybody was passing around the clip of the transformation sequence.
For sure.
Because nobody knew what the fuck this show was about in the West.
Why does it go so hard?
I just had not a bit of a curse up, but something did just dawn on me. I knew I compared this to an Ikuhara show, and if I think about it that way, it's yeah, this sounds about right. I love my Ikuhara stuff. Most of the dubs for Ikuhara things aren't very good.
Except for Saren Zamnai. Saren Zamnai fucking rules.
Yeah, Saren Zamnai is really good. Yuri Kuma is, fine. Penguin Drum is Penguin Drum. Utena is... Yeah, we didn't talk about Utena.
Which dub for an Ikuhara thing is more cursed? Penguin Drum or Utena?
I mean, both do have actors I like. They're just, really terribly directed.
Yeah, that tends to be the thing with Sentai, I feel. There are a couple actors that shine even in poor productions. So I can't write them off entirely ever.
Yeah, so it is kind of funny, apparently, the story with the Utena dub was I think Rachel Lewis went on record as saying the director just, didn't show up at least once. It was either they didn't show up or, clearly had not looked at the material at all.
Yeah, didn't he also think it was straight until Crispin Freeman yelled at him?
Probably.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I was going to say the cursed thing about Penguin Drum is Stephen Foster started it and then Stephen Foster quit. But know who didn't quit on us? Our characters. And our first set of characters are, I would say, the most secondary members of the group. And that is Futaba Isurugi, Karako Hanayagi, Mahiru Tsurusaki, and the giraffe. Futaba is childhood friends with Karako, who has a motorcycle, and she wants to join the new opera company while Karako is going to go back home and run her dance studio. They have always been in a, what we'd like to call an unhealthy codependency relationship with each other. And in this movie, everything kind of comes to a head because everyone's kind of having this moment of, well, I guess we're all okay, moving on. And then Karako is y'all fucking suck. Moving on. Don't you all remember the auditions? Don't you all want to still be the top star? And you're all settling for all this fucking shit. And then they get pulled into the train, which, very fitting from a student of Ikuhara that a bunch of this shit happens on a train. And then there's Mahiru. Mahiru is Karen's roommate and perpetual third wheel to her and Hikari. But she is a good, hardworking, earnest girl from Hokkaido who has, in my mind, the best review in the entire television show, review of Jealousy fucking rules, fucking fight me. In the movie, she kind of has this moment where she's going to go to the opera school, even though she knows she's not maybe always the best character and stuff, and she kind of is the one that pulls Hikari's head out of her ass about saving Karen. And it's like, listen, I finally got to sit at the stage with you, yada yada yada, go get your girlfriend back. The giraffe is Faust!
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the TV show's a huge Faustian bargain.
He is the nourishment for the soul, turning into vegetables in psychedelic horror movie moments.
Fucking jump scare.
Yeah, really. I said a whoop, jump scare. Playing Futaba is Chelsea McCurdy. Playing Koriko is Savannah Menzel. Playing Mahiru is Maggie Flecknoe. And playing the giraffe is Jay Hickman. Chelsea McCurdy you'll know as characters such as Tsunemi Toko in Armed Girls Machiavellism, Sayuri in Flip Flappers, and Tsubasa Misudachi in Gachimon Crowd Insights. Savannah Menzel as characters such as Ayumu Tanagu in Girls Unde Panzer, Emma Yashira in Shirobako, and Diamond in Land of the Illustrious. Maggie Flecknoe is characters such as Yu Nishida in After the Rain, Sumir Hayano in Chihaya Furu, and Yurika Fukuhori in Kids on the Slope. Jay Hickman is characters such as Waka in Amnesia, TT392 in Flip Flappers, and very fitting, because he's in this show, the Fool from Kaleido Star. So who wants to kick us off?
I guess I'll start with Futaba and Garaki. If I'm being honest, these two were probably my least favorite performances in the dub. I liked their scene, I liked the whole, like you were saying, sort of codependent relationship that was really going on there. I just didn't, really feel it to the performance. I thought these two kind of sounded, I didn't want to say wooden, but their line reads simply did sound a lot stiffer than I would have liked out of the show, and it did. And they were the four performances that probably took me out of the movie the most. As for Maggie Flecknoe as Mahiru, I really did like her performance a lot. I thought she did a pretty good job of definitely kind of capturing the third wheel energy that kind of made Mahiru so interesting. It has been a hot minute since I watched the TV series, so I did kind of was sort of refreshing myself on what these characters' deals were as I was watching the movie. But once Mahiru started going on about wanting to see herself as Hikari's rival, it just all kind of came back to me. And Maggie did a pretty good job of getting across Mahiru's whole because I guess the way she's kind of moved past the whole jealousy thing, and it's kind of forward a bit of a more healthy rivalry with Hikari. I thought that whole dynamic was pretty interesting. And I definitely liked the song there. That was a pretty good musical choice. And Jay Hickman as the giraffe, it's pretty much Hickman just giving the most, I guess the most on a stage theater performance he can possibly give, and it's beautiful. As I love all the weird monologues. You can really tell he's just having a fun time in the booth having it up there, and it's a delight. The giraffe in general is just a really bizarre character, but I do find his role in the story fascinating as far as helping to sort of enable these girls and fuel their desires, and it is kind of interesting how the giraffe's role in the movie. I guess you could say the giraffe is content, and I guess the giraffe is just kind of run its course with these girls, and I thought that was fairly interesting. But on the whole, I like what Maggie and Jay brought to the table. I wasn't quite as sold on Chelsea and Savannah. I did think the performances were a little weak, but on the whole, I wasn't too bothered. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you about Chelsea and Savannah. They are, if not the two weakest members of the cast, the weaker part of the dub. I don't think their performances are bad. I just think that they are kind of okay in there, and that they don't always get across the emotion that these two girls are having. Futaba is the more rational one, and she is kind of hot-headed. Also, I want to say I absolutely love the fact that they are in an old school Japanese gambling den, and then Futaba comes in with a fucking Mad Max-ass neon truck to break it down.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's when you know you didn't know what was going to happen, and now we're telling you what's in store. It's a fucking big light-up truck from the fucking Truck Yarrow movies, which were a bunch of, like, classic action comedies. It might be a different reference, but that's where I know them from.
No, that's probably exactly what it is.
She comes in and does the fucking Yakuza introduction pose with her hand out. That I only know because Jinbei from One Piece does it. It's...
Kazuma Kiryu, what the fuck are you doing here?
It's so sweet. They're hitting all of the Japanese cultural, like, film actor genres. It's great.
Which makes sense, because they're the two from Kyoto, and Karaku is the traditional Japanese dance girl. Like, that's... Her whole thing is kind of having to resign herself to the fact that she's gonna have to take over her family business, and it's not what she exactly wants to do. She still wants to be a star, but she doesn't really have, I guess, the qualities for it. And in a sense, I think that you're supposed to get from the performance is that she also wants to keep Futaba down with her. And that's her toxic trait. They have this toxic codependency, and Futaba is the one in the song fighting back as, no, I love you enough that I'm going to keep going to take you up and propel you to greater heights with me, but you can't be the one to keep controlling me all your life. And unfortunately, while, you know, you can get that across in words, you have to be able to also get that across in your voice. And sometimes Savannah and Chelsea can't really do that. Though I will say Chelsea does get it across actually kind of in the early movie when she yells at everybody before Nana is just like, okay, I gotta teach these fucking kids a lesson again.
For sure, that's the highlight for her acting.
Yeah, and then, God, I love Maggie fucking away as Mahiru. I definitely think it's a step up from what the TV show was. I remember I used to always be a lot more critical of Maggie fucking away until I got a lot more used to her acting and saw her really, like, show off. Because sometimes I felt like she wasn't always putting it all out there. But Jesus Christ, Mahiru, you scary.
The freaking Terminator.
I like how her review starts out sports-based again. This time it's the Olympics, and then she just pulls fucking Hikari into, like, the back alley neon nightmare demon hell?
Yeah, drops her into the vat of acid.
And, like, even Hikari's like, Mahiru, you're fucking terrifying. Mahiru, what the fuck, basically.
Say it like you mean it. Tell me what the fuck your deal is, and tell me like you mean it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think Maggie gets across that kind of gentle, never give up nature of Mahiru very well. And, like, even at the end where she sends Hikari off, she's like, that's me, your old dependable Mahiru. I'm always gonna be there for you, even while I'm trying to claw your eyes out so I'm the top star. And it's just so genuinely adorable, but also like, this bitch would stab me in a back alley. And then, Jay Hickman as the giraffe usually steals whatever scene he's in. Oh, I've gotta go, this is my Baroque work. He's being set on fire at one point, he turns into vegetables. Just, Jesus Christ, this movie.
There are some horrifying images in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, if the image of a, like, giraffe skeleton...
I mean, I just remember, like, the last thing we see of the giraffe is just him being on fire.
Falling from the sky and self-immolation.
Yeah, Jay Hickman has definitely evolved the performance a fair bit. Like, he was doing the narrator thing before and being very proper and wakaimasu. I understand. I know everything that's going on. I'm under control here. This time he's running around and panting, being like, I have to get the band back together. I need more. He's much more desperate. I think the metaphor that they land on with him is why are we having this movie? Because I demanded it, and I am the stand-in for the audience. The audience demands blood. we want more. We aren't done with seeing these performances just yet.
Also, but you all have some shit to work out.
Yeah, we gave you 12 episodes of a TV series, and you couldn't get this all started up. Fine, we'll do a movie where we finish off all of your baggage. Come on. You two, Futaba and the other one, you never worked out, like, that you are toxic for each other? Fine, here. Have a scene in a bar where you pour champagne on yourself and sit in a giant wine glass. That part is also especially really fun. Yeah, like, the writing on these parts are real good. That's carrying some of these scenes, like the Kuroko's very selfish and hasn't gotten over that. She's very childish, and Futaba's, like, trying to be very rational with her, and that doesn't work with a child. so it doesn't work on Kuroku. They eventually get through to each other. We're going to be repeating this a lot, but they have to part ways. They can't continue like this. Kuroku does have that excellent scene early in the movie where, but I wanted more. I wasn't done yet. I deserve more. Bring the auditions back right now. And gets disabused of that notion real quick when she gets her wish. Futaba, like, sight unseen, me just looking at the opening, Futaba would have been my favorite character based on design. And then she doesn't really get to do anything in the show. And kind of gets saddled with this just talk to each other relationship. And they eventually work it out. Yeah, like, these are the least important members of the troupe, for sure. Maggie as Mahiru was a real delight. Like, she's dancing and singing across the screen, being very cheerful. Everyone's sunshine makes that her whole bit. And then the hammer drops, and the tone changes completely. You didn't even try. Come on. Start running, because I'm going to start chasing. I'm coming after you like a Dead by Daylight boss. This cannot continue.
Fucking Lamau.
Why did you leave? Why did you run away? Oh, you were scared? Too fucking bad. Tell me the real reason. Tell me like you mean it. And then she just goes like, JK lol, sorry for the trauma. I was also scared, but I had to do it to you. It's real good. So they get to acknowledge each other as rivals and gets to send Hikari on her way. Send the hero through with the trial. And then, yeah, she just assumes her role as a supportive figure to the heirs. She is the third wheel, sorry to say. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with their segments in this movie.
Awesome. Are we ready to move on to the next set of characters?
I think so.
Awesome. So next up we have, holy shit, the really gay parts.
Several of my notes for this movie are just the word gay.
You all are thinking of joking. This is one of the most lesby erotic movies I've ever watched. Or lesby romantic.
Is sapphic the word?
Sapphic, yeah. These kids these days are looking for the toxic yaois and the toxic yuris. This movie is Toxic Yuri the movie.
It is shonen rivalry applied to competitive theater and being gay. I can be gayer than you.
Again, this is how you can tell the director worked with Ikuhara once.
You hang out with Ikuhara one fucking time, and now every great googly moogly, it's all gone to sapphics.
So who are we talking about?
We are talking about Nana Daiba, Juna Hoshimi, Claudine Saijo, and Maya Tendo. We're going to talk about Nana's deal last. Juna Hoshimi is the student council president of the 99th graduating class. She doesn't view herself as the most special, and in this movie, her actual thought of things to do is to not go into a theater company straight out of high school, but rather to go, study theater in college and disappoint every American parent ever. And then, she, in this movie, gets confronted by Nana for basically what Nana believes is her just giving up on being the star ever, and for Juna hiding behind the words of philosophers, because she basically quotes theater scripts and shit like a white boy reciting the movie Fight Club, and using that as a personality trait.
Girls love it when I quote Fight Club. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yo, dog, have you heard of this great intellectual Joe Rogan?
This is my favorite Shakespeare quote. I know it from American Psycho.
Hey, Daiba, are you a fan of Huey Lewis in the News? And then there's Maya and Claudine. Claudine is a French-Japanese woman who has decided that, and she got scouted at the festival to go to this huge theater program in France. And Maya is going to join the National Opera Club. Those two had kind of at the end of the series had joined into a partnership, only for it to devolve into, that's it, I need to fucking hate you for the rest of my life, and I will be loathing.
Absolutely loathing.
What if Galinda and Alphaba were in competitive theater?
More so than they are in Wiki.
More so than they already are, and there's no Fiero, and they're gay for each other. All I can say is, their entire sequence has more ego, and their fight would make Sosuke Aizen blush. Their fight would make Johann Lieber go, girls, chill the fuck out. And then there's Nana Daiba. Nana Daiba is the original top star. She, in the series, did it, won, and decided that this specific school year repeating over and over again is the greatest thing that has ever happened to her in her life, and she never wants to lose it. So she kept single-handedly reversing time.
This was the big surprise from the TV series.
Yes.
Oh my, going into Revue Starlight, I didn't know what to expect, and all of a sudden, here's Homura repeating the Heinlein.
Except for, eventually she kind of gets defeated by Hikari and Karen, but we'll talk about what Karen's deal is in this movie when we get to Karen. But needless to say, Nana Daiba is probably one of... I don't know if we're allowed to call this... Can we consider this a magical girl show?
I am comparing it to Madoka already, so I will allow it.
So, yeah. Nana Daiba might be one of, like, the most interesting characters in a magical girl show, just for the sheer what-the-fuckery of that twist. Just genuinely interesting.
She looks directly at me as in the audience.
Playing Nana Daiba is Lucy Christian, playing Juna Hoshimi is Shannon Emmerich, playing Claudine Saijo is Christina Kelly, and playing Maya Tendo is Olivia Swayze. Lucy Christian is basically a god in the industry, but you would know her for its characters such as Yukari Tanizaki from Azumanga Daioh, Chihaya Ayase and Chihaya Furu, and Hitomi Kashiwa in Welcome to the NHK. Shannon Emmerich you will know at Sentai dubs for mostly playing every little boy that has ever come in there. But she's also played characters such as Misaki Okusawa, aka Michelle, in the Bang Dream Season 2 dub, Furin in Dungeon People, and Kathy Tamor in Koledo Star. Christina Kelly you'll know as characters such as Akane Kawata in Flying Witch, Alice Nakari, the superior Nakari member, in Food Wars, and Shippon in Akiba Maid Wars. And Olivia Swayze you'll know as characters such as Shorina Yoshida in The Dangers in My Heart, Echidna in I'm Quitting Heroing, and Sayaka Kanmori in Keep Your Hands Off of Isaacin. I'm going to get us started off, and I'm going to talk about Maya and Claudine first. I want to say Olivia Swayze's performance was so much better than the TV show. I remember, I think the show itself might have been the first time I think a lot of us were introduced to her as a performer. And she's definitely come a long way since that time. I definitely think that she has improved her acting. I know I need to watch the Isaacin dub. I know a lot of people really like her in the Isaacin dub. But she and Christina Kelly, genuinely, their fight against each other might have stolen the entire film.
Oh, absolutely.
Great googly moogly. That was two women absolutely chewing the scene against each other.
They didn't need to go so hard.
That's like the hardest part of the whole movie, is like, oh, is this your soul? Oh, you're the devil. What is the saint without temptation?
I'm here to steal your soul. I was briefly, convinced at the start that when she comes in wearing just a full suit, that was like a recast Waiting for Godot moment again. It's that freaking gay.
In the words of Marge Simpson, you want to lighten up, kids? There's a giant bird robot at one point?
No, we're going to settle this. We're going to fight until one of us submits, and then the other one gets their soul forever.
And in the end, the answer is to quite literally die together. And there is no punches being pulled in this. And genuinely to say, they are honestly two of the best parts of this whole movie. I absolutely love... For one, I do kind of like that they did not give Claudine a French accent. I don't think I could have taken Claudine seriously with the French accent, I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, she wasn't getting a lot of French in this movie. I remember some of it in the TV series, and it's, not great French. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Settling it down definitely worked. I genuinely also think that she did start out a little bit rough. As Jet said, that it did feel at the beginning of the movie, a lot of it very much was a, remembering how to do your role. But the one person I think outside of maybe our main character of the show who really didn't feel that is Olivia Swayze. She immediately walked in and carried Maya Tendo like the character that Maya Tendo is. This is a pair of dueling Ojo-samas. And by God are these bitches gay. But by God are these bitches gay ain't got nothing on what the fuck is wrong with Nana Daiba. Nana Daiba is probably one of the single most terrifying Lucy Christian characters, and one of her most terrifying performances, because Nana Daiba can go from being the sweetest person that you have ever met to quite literally Satan. she is a figure of immense sadness, and I think the best part of Lucy's performance is how much she carries that weight and expectation of what Nana wants out of everybody. And by far, Nana is the most selfish person in the show. Even more than fucking Karako. Just the way that she delivers, I liked you better the way you used to be when you were radiant. As she is sitting on top of Juna with a fucking Kodiak camera, taking a picture of her crying face. Holy shit!
Literally low-tier gods on her. Or Freyrin.
Yeah.
For the air reference.
Oh, the aura, kill yourself shit. Yeah, she quite literally kicks a blade towards Juna and is like, well, if you're not gonna fight for what you want, if you're gonna regroup and not charge into it straight out of here, what's the point of you even trying? You're never gonna get anywhere. You're never going to be brilliant. You're never gonna be beautiful. And God, the lion roar in the cage.
Rawr.
Rawr.
That was so funny. I got a big laugh out of that.
I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but it kind of is.
It's not a funny scene, but it is a funny moment in that scene.
Yeah.
It's very cute and they have the like engine roar behind it to give it that like bassiness.
And here's where kind of the conflict comes in is you either really like Shannon Emmerich's take on Juna or you fucking hate it. There is no in between for this, in my opinion. Shannon's voice is not a very typical cutesy moe girl voice. And I think it kind of works. I kind of like the sound that it is on Juna as a character. And I do want to say that I think when Juna finally stands up for herself against Nana's wishes for her, and takes Nana's own sword, smashes the emerald in, and fights back, is so good. And I think that Shannon absolutely gets that part of the performance. She is finally not hiding behind quotes and phrases, and she finally admits to herself she knows that she is never going to be the people's first choice for the top performance, but she is going to devour that person alongside of her. She is going to make them work for it in a way that they never thought they had to. And in the end, that's how she beats Nana. Is she turns Nana's own expectations against her and claims it. Basically, it's I love you. I will always love you, but I am not in love with the person you want me to be for you. Her and Lucy playing off each other is really great. But again, a lot of it is defined by how much do you believe that Shannon Emmerich is a teenage girl? Because unfortunately, a lot of people who don't watch dubs or are far more casual about it or have very, frankly, gendered expectations on what a voice sounds like probably won't be into this performance. And that kind of sucks because I think that Shannon's performance is actually pretty good. But that being said, I'm going to hand it over to one of you two.
Sure, I guess I'll go next. I think I'll actually start with Nana and Juna. Like you were saying, Shannon as an actor is pretty interesting because, like I said, she has a very distinct voice, and it does kind of, I wouldn't say it makes casting her tricky, but it is very much a thing where if you put her outside of her usual typecast of playing young boys, I guess like audience reactions will always be a little bit mixed there. But while I wouldn't list this as one of my outright favorite performances of hers, I really like what she brought to the table here. I thought she did a pretty good job of getting the awkwardness of the character across pretty well. And a lot of the doubt she was having and the whole need to kind of, I guess, hide herself behind quotes of like all these great people because she doesn't really think that she's capable of achieving those same kind of heights and just kind of willing to be content where she is or just settling for something small and kind of having to have that curved out of her by Nana. And I thought that Shannon did a pretty good job of showing the initial kind of hesitation and lack of confidence, and then just sort of as Nana kind of coaxes her a bit more, you kind of get to hear Shannon's performance sound more confident. And then towards the end, where Juna is finally like willing to fight for what she wants, you can really hear that passion in she has a performance, and it's really good. And I really liked it. Definitely one of the strong performances of the dub for me. And Lucy Christian is not it's Lucy Christian. I don't think she's turned in a bad performance in anything. And basically the same thing here. I found Nana to be a pretty interesting character in a TV show, and it's very much the same thing here. Though I do think this is kind of an interesting reversal of roles in a sense. Like, on the surface, she is kind of still doing the same thing of kind of playing up the idea of being the character who is the most static and wanting to keep everyone where they are. But I think what's kind of interesting about the way they play Nana here is that while it is kind of the role she's sort of presenting to Judah, you can kind of tell that she is, in her own way, really trying to coax Judah out of her current mindset and trying to push her to go after her dreams and do what she wants. I think that is definitely a very interesting reversal from how Nana was in the TV show. And I think that's a pretty interesting way to play into that character. I thought that was a pretty interesting evolution. And I thought that Lucy did a really good job of getting that across. I really loved the performance. But definitely the standouts here were Christina Kelly and Olivia Swayze as Claudine and Maya. Really stellar. I don't remember if I got to their big part in the TV show, so I don't know if I had any particularly strong opinions on their performances there, one way or the other. But I was really blown away by their performances here. I thought that the chemistry between the performances was really good. Christina did a pretty good job of playing up the whole sultry double thing, and I thought that Christina's performance there was just really effective, really doing a pretty good job of getting across Claudine's desperation to finally surpass Maya, and you can really feel that in every ounce of Christina's performance. And then, inversely, I really like the sort of domineering nature of Olivia's performance. You can just tell this is a character with supreme confidence in themselves. You can really feel that in every line delivery from Olivia. Just a really great job of getting across how Maya is used to being on top in most situations, and I guess trying to put Claudine in her place isn't really the correct way to look at that, but definitely you can see that while she's not quite as competitive as Claudine is, you can tell that the rivalry does mean a lot to her, and she really wants to stay on top there, and I thought the back and forth between the two was pretty interesting, and nice to see that they're just kind of determined to compete against each other for the rest of their lives. And really, really good toxic theory there. Just absolutely what the show needed.
Jackson?
Oh boy. I will be one of those people that falls on the side of I don't particularly care for Chen Emmerich's voice and casting in this. And then you get to the back half of the show where those opinions don't matter anymore. She sure showed me. You know, you watch the TV show and then there's just a bit of an adjustment period. And now you're here, where she is putting her all into it. It really is good. Yeah, you're exactly right about her weapon gets destroyed and her glimmer, the emerald, whatever it was, falls out. She pulls one of Big Banana's swords and shoves it back in the hilt, and I'm not done yet. I'm not going to die honorably via seppuku. That's not happening. We are going to continue to fight. I am the protagonist of my own life. I will make a name for myself. I will determine what matters to me. It doesn't matter if I'm changing and becoming a person that you don't care about anymore. I am doing this for me. I will continue on my own path. And she's pulling from the words and quotes that are inspiring to her and don't really reach Nana because they aren't her own words, and that's what she needs to hear. It's all really good stuff. Lucy Christian. This is favoritism. This is not hyperbole. Lucy Christian is the greatest actor to ever do it. I have held this opinion for a long time. This was a real, getting to stretch her muscles out a whole lot and getting to play a villainous role, which has not come up a whole lot in her repertoire. I was briefly thinking that this was the first time, but of course not. She did Medusa in Soul Eater. And again, she was brilliant in that, and she's brilliant here. She is unstoppable, unflappable. She's coming in at the beginning of the movie to set off events. I'm a little unclear what she does. Besides, she just annihilates everyone. God, the fucking fight scenes in this are so good.
Yeah.
And it got bloody there for a second there.
It's tomato juice. Don't worry about it.
Tell that to my heart rate. Oh, God. She's doing the whole infinite blade works thing with multiple swords coming out from everywhere. It's awesome to behold. She looks at me in the middle of the TV series and hey, you in the audience, I'm going to continue with my evil plan. I don't care that this is a uncounted variable. We're going to roll with it. It's real beautiful. I love all the metaphors she has with taking pictures because she wants to freeze things in time. She likes everything the way it was. You know, bananas rot really fast. I don't think that means anything, but maybe it does.
Maybe, sort of, probably, yeah.
The line about you were once beautiful and once dazzling when you were struggling and shining, that's some great work. Lucy Christian is so good. I will watch anything she's in. I will change over for the Japanese just for her parts. I will watch any Sentai dub that she is in. Doesn't matter if she's in a bad production, she makes everyone else around her better.
Mm-hmm.
She is so good. So these two, the gay queens, they are probably the most improved for me from the TV series, because I'm coming off of that. I feel like I did not get a handle on Tendo's character at all. She's just the volleyball ace. She's just the team captain. She's the thing to strive for. And then she gets bested in the finale. So what was she really there for, besides a thing for Claudine to pine after and feel inadequacy towards? This was a big step up for that. Olivia's great at projecting the confidence and the unflappable Maya Tendo, but this got to dig into, no, not only am I the big leader, I'm the only one allowed to stay on this stage. Everyone else is subservient to me. I will make you all submit to my will because I am so overpowering. You want a little piece of this fame? No, you can't have it. All of it's for me. It's real good. The lines about, sure, give a hero a trial. Give a saint some temptations. I am a god, so I need a devil. That's the only thing that could bring me down. You think you can take my soul? I don't actually have one, turns out. I am an empty vessel. Davy Jones opening the locker being like, where's the soul I was promised? There's just an IOU note here. As SpongeBob has a line of people out the door waiting to collect on his soul.
Get in line.
Yeah, get in line. That was real good. And obviously, Claudine is the one person that has devoted herself to challenging Maya Tendo. The only person that can possibly challenge Maya Tendo. Not that she sees her as a viable threat, but she comes to know Maya Tendo more than anyone else. Oh, you think you're an empty vessel. You think you don't have a soul. That's not true. You're weak. You suck at shogi. Come on. You're terrible at these games. Which was like the first chink in the armor that we see before the actual fights.
Yeah.
Which is a real important to establish like a chink, some fallible element to pull from. And then by the end of this fight, they are getting laid bare. She's like, I'm an ugly, fallible human just like you. You're always cute when you're flustered like this. I'm always cute. Was real good towards the climax of their fight. Do you gotta say, these fights go hard as hell.
Yeah.
For how, like, unflashy they are very technical and tactile in a way I really love. I adore hand-to-hand combat, but this is more like close quarters combat, kind of Sakuga. It's a really great production in the TV show, and then they just up that to 11 in the movie. So much strategy and tactics and wailing on each other. It's real good. They get to show some blood in this time, even if it's fake. It's real good. Claudine. Christina Kelly's Claudine. She gets some real fun to do in this. She shows up in the little Futaba and Karoku scene, being like, you took her away from me. I just encouraged her. This ain't my fight. This ain't my circus. I'm out. I'm just going to leave. That truck smashing through the wall, I'm out. She comes back to Claudine, comes in with a swagger like the monorail salesman in The Simpsons. She's up to some shit, and she's like, I got a great idea. Let's make a contract. Let's make a deal, and then the winner gets the other person's soul. Just a lot of fun in that. And she gets nasty with it. Like, for part of the fight where it looks like she's starting to lose, she lets out this unhinged cackle and is having like this mad breakdown. That's a lot of fun. And then she reveals that, oh, I was keeping my pendant, my weak point in my mouth the entire time.
Oh, yeah, that moment. What the? Yeah,
Gay.
No.
Gay as hell.
Gay as fuck.
Maya Tendo comes down as this fucking sun emperor.
She arises from hell. Also the fact that in the end, they both take position 0 on this contract together, holding hands.
Yeah, that's more of a marriage contract than anything else.
Remember, kids, if your rivalry has lasted longer than 4 years, you're fucking married.
Yeah.
That's how it works in Gundam, right?
Exactly. They were like, Claudine wins this fight, and then my Tendo's like, I want the run back. First to 5 me. Money match me. We're doing this again.
Salty run back.
Exactly. I'll see you at Evo. And then, they're burning through life together. There's a burning cross at the end of their fight. Like, what the fuck?
Like Ikuhara before him, the director of this movie goes, I know people who use subtlety and those bitches are cowards.
You're a greedy-ass human and your Jordans are fake. We're fighting again.
Which one of them is piloted by Sonic Fox?
That would be my Tendo. And then, Goichi. That'll be Claudine.
Alright, is everybody good with this section, Jet? You went?
Yep, I'm ready.
Alright, so let's talk about the titular These Bitches Be Gay. The reason the Revue Starlight even happened, Hikari Kagura and Karin Aijo. These two girls met when they were 5 years old, and that defined the rest of their existence. Hikari in the show is the one that comes in to break them from this endless cycle, because she knows the truth about what the reviews really are. It's basically, this is just for me, because I know I am the only one in our friend group who has ever fucking watched this show. The reviews function like the end of Petite Princess Yushi. And for those of you who are wondering what the fuck that is, Petite Princess Yushi is a magical showgirl that was done by a little-known studio that we like to call Gainax. So, what it was a show loosely based on the Princess Maker franchise. This series would be directed by a man named Masahiko Otsuka, which that man would eventually help form Trigger. Looking through some stuff here. Nope, you had anything to touch on this show. Surprisingly, neither writer ever touched Revue Starlight as a show. But to mildly spoil what happens, Petite Princess Yushi is about a girl named Yushi who ends up going to a magic school because she was picked by the tiara, and whoever gets the 5 gems on the tiara first will get to make whatever wish they want. And Yushi represents humans, and there are other girls. So eventually they end up going to the final thing with this, and it turns out that when the princess girl who wins makes her wish, the other 4 princesses just evaporate from existence. Goodbye, they never existed. Their bodies are going to fuel your wish. Congratulations, I hope you like the Survivors Guild. In a perfectly cutesy little show up until that point. So that's very similar to what's going on in Revue Starlight, because Hikari learns that the radiance of the other girls that she's defeated will, make her wish, and she lost hers, that's why she has a tiny dagger. So they do Starlight, but at the end of the show, Hikari leaves again, and you find out through a majority of this movie that Karin has been really hung up about this. And a lot of the flashbacks in this movie are about how Hikari is the one that propelled Karin to the state that she is in. Karin Aijo is, for the most part, a head empty, no thoughts, I love being an actor and acting, except for when she achieves the one thing that she had wanted in her life, which is to do Starlight with her best friend Hikari and stand on the stage and shine together, and they break the timeline. Now she is lost and alone, because Hikari's gone again, she's done the thing she wanted, what else does she want out of life? And a lot of this movie is the crux of her basically learning to move on with her life and keep searching for the stage that she belongs to, even if Hikari isn't going to be there with her all the time. So, playing Hikari Kagura is Patricia Duran, and playing Karin Aijo is Brittany Karbowski. Patricia Duran you'll know as characters such as Kayako Kubo in After the Rain, Freya in the Don Machi franchise, and Princess in the Princess Principal franchise. Brittany Karbowski needs no introduction, but if you aren't aware of her work, she is Shia Kujo in Amagi Brilliant Park, Hisako Aruto in Food Wars, and Reno in Tanaka-kun is Always Listless. Gentlemen, one of you start.
Sure, I guess I'll start with Patricia. Again, it has been a hot minute since I watched the show, so while I did remember that Hikari did kind of serve as Karen's sort of driving motivation, I kind of forgot that these two actually, they definitely did interact within the show, but I guess not as much as I remember, considering how much backstory we end up getting in this movie. But I really liked the backstory. I thought it was definitely pretty interesting to see how the relationship evolved and all the very specific ways Hikari sort of helped to serve as a specific as an inspiration for Karen. I liked how a lot of that was framed. And as for Patricia's performance, I liked it. I do think that, like, towards the beginning of the movie, it was maybe a little shaky. But I don't think I think got a pretty good handle on it pretty quickly. I usually like most things Patricia's in, and I thought she did a pretty solid job here. Getting across the confidence Hikari has, not quite to the same level as a character like Maya, but definitely a kind of person who knows what she is, knows what she's about, and I thought that Patricia got that across pretty well. And then at the same time, we can clearly see how much she values her friendship with Karen, and I thought Patricia got that across pretty well. And again, while we didn't see as much as with the relationship in the TV show as I would have liked to, I did do a pretty good job here of just getting across how much Karen really does mean to Hikari, and how much Hikari really does want Karen to move forward, and is willing to do whatever it takes to help her achieve that. And for as much fighting as Karen has here, I thought that Hikari did a pretty good job of helping to motivate her, and I thought the Patricia really handled a lot of that really well. Solid performance. But of course, the real star of the show here is Brittany Karbowski as Karen. And Brittany is another one of those actors who I've generally never heard do a bad performance in anything. Like, at worst, I could say there are maybe one or two times where she's been miscast and things. But beyond that, I've generally been pretty happy with nearly everything Brittany does, and this is no exception. I like her here. I thought she did a pretty good job of getting across these mix of awkwardness and, again, a little bit of confidence with Karen, and how the character kind of evolved over the course of the movie. Like, when you see her as a child, she's definitely very in her own little world, very shy and awkward. Isn't really willing to go out on a limb to hang out with other kids. I thought that Brittany did a pretty good job of getting across that quiet awkwardness pretty well. And then she meets Hikari, becomes a little bit more outgoing, and you can see the transition pretty well in Brittany's performance. She does a pretty good job of definitely making her sound a lot more open. And then, of course, when the two get separated, and Karen's just like trying really hard to honor their promise and stay out of each other's lives until they reunite at the special high school. And you can definitely feel a lot of the pining in Brittany's performance, where she really does want to honor that promise, but she's also really curious about what Hikari's up to and is really trying hard to fight the temptation to kind of check up on her. And then when she finally does give into that and learns what she's doing, it only just fuels her anxieties even more, and I thought that Brittany got that across pretty well. And then, of course, there's the whole big crux of the movie with Karen just kind of not really knowing what to do with herself. And I really like the way Brittany got across a lot of her doubts here, and just this really sense of listlessness and really not knowing how to move forward without a friend. And then finally getting to that all-important resolution where she does realize that she does kind of have to stand on her own 2 feet and find her own stage, and I thought that Brittany got the evolution across there pretty well, when definitely the big jolt of confidence when she's finally willing to take that step, and I really like how that was handled, both in the performance and also just like the really cool visual metaphor of seeing Karen dying and then being literally reborn. I thought that whole sequence was pretty incredible. And yeah, I really like these two.
Yeah, no, I agree. Patricia, I am a little bit more mixed on, but I definitely think that she really nails it in this particular film. I think that she absolutely gets across this side of her. And the one thing I have to appreciate is that a majority of her performance is her also, I think, doing a little girl voice. Both her and Brittany have to play the child version of themselves, I think, through a majority of the film. And it isn't until, I think, the end of the film that you really do get teenage young adult Hikari. And that moment where she is telling her to either keep going or give up really hits. But the thing that gets me is her reaction to Hikari, quote-unquote, dying. She just kind of holds her and is like, you can't be dead. You have to get up. You have to keep going. Because now she's in the spot that Hikari's in the spot where she was last week. And she kind of admits to herself that she was scared when she was with Mahiru. And that she was always scared if it wasn't for Hikari holding her. And now she has to be that one back for her. And they have this great resolution where a lot of their relationship is kind of held up on this kind of notoriously toxic idea that they've let this promise define their lives so much. But now that they've done it, are they going to have to keep holding on to it? And they decide that no, it's time to say goodbye, because even if Hikari or Karen won't always be next to each other and living for each other, they're always going to have each other. And I think that's the thing for all of them, is that the things that they've done at the school aren't always going to define everything they've done, but they're going to make them better people. And I don't have a lot more to say about Patricia's performance, not because I think it's bad or anything, but I think because Jet nailed a lot of it. But God, Brittany Karbowski has always been my favorite part of this dub, and she is genuinely the best part of it. There is not an ounce of her that does not know how to play Karen. She is absolutely perfect. She knows how to be sad, she knows how to rein the kid voice in, how to make her sound small, how to make her age up as she goes along, and the pain in her voice about not knowing what to do with herself. Because I think a lot of it has hinged in Karen's mind that she needed to keep this promise. And for me, the scene in the movie that actually defines Karen's arc is the flashback to episode 1, where they're walking towards the class and she has to feign ignorance that she doesn't know what the school in London that Hikari got into was, because she had made a promise to never look her up. And she had anyway, and she feels so disgusting for it. And yet, she, in the end, comes out of it because they have to grow and be people. Also, the train ride where she finally gets yeeted out of the giant position 0, I genuinely wonder if the team behind this had ever watched Mad Max Fury Road.
It was exactly what went through my mind.
This is Mad Max. Overall, absolutely loved Brittany's performance. I have for the God knows amount of years that she has been Karen. So, yeah.
Yeah. That episode 1 was a real good, recontextualizing of those scenes. Karen has made this promise that is really self-imposed. She's feeling like, did she forget about this promise? Really, I said I was never going to look her up or try to reach out or need to hear back.
But she did.
These are rules that you make up and follow forever, and they're all in your own head. The movie does a real good job with these backstory scenes. That's doing a reversal of the roles. Like, in the TV series, you get the impression that Hikari's appearance spurs Karen forward, and she really is just this empty head in the clouds. I love doing this acting thing, but I don't really have that ambition. And then Hikaru shows up, and that becomes her goal. But through the backstories and the acting and the childhood, you see that Karen was often the one to reach out. They go to this play together, and she's the one that makes the promise. Okay, we will both go and do this together. It becomes less, Karen always had it in her, and becomes more, she's actually quite good at this. As a child, as a 12-year-old, whatever it was, she's the lead in a play of her elementary school. She's a great actor. She's always been capable. You get the perspective from the people outside all of this acting life stuff, from her family and her friends in middle school who are like, she's actually pretty cool. She's striving towards her dreams, and that's actually really admirable, and I admire her a lot for that, which was not an impression we ever got from the TV series. And then we get the context that Hikari feels all of this too. This was all important to her as well. She feels inspired by Karen a whole lot and is striving towards her, and if I understood the bit correctly, Hikari was scared that Karen was too blinding, too bright. I am being filled with inadequacies. I would just become a fan if we stuck together. I need to go off. I need to train in a different country. And towards the end of the TV series and into this movie, she's on the same track. She hasn't grown past that. Some of Patricia's best acting in this movie is the I'm so scared, I'm so sorry. When Mahiru finally gets it out of her, why did you do this? Tell me like you mean it. I was scared. I couldn't face her. There's so much left unsaid that I need to get out. It is a big upgrade from the TV series where she is purposely playing down a lot of her emotions, required by the plot and the context, but she's getting much more out there and animated now.
I think because she got her spark back, because that was a big part of the show, was that she lost it.
Yeah, exactly. Both of them have lost that spark, and then it gets reignited when they are reunited. So, Hikari getting these words out, getting out those final lines to her, finally. And then by the end of these trials, at the end of this train ride, she's finally able to face Karen and be like, this is what I'm going to do. I have faced all my demons. This is what I'm going to do next. Karen, Brittany Karbowski, she is swinging for the fences on this role. One of my first notes is the play acting has gotten so much better. She is fake crying in the play towards the beginning of the movie. Why did you leave? Where did you go? And it feels real because it is. And she gets her heroic rebirth, redetermined. One of those whack-ass scenes from this movie that, what the fuck are we in for, is when they both turn and look at the audience. Were those guys always there? They literally break the fourth wall and acknowledge the audience watching the anime. Were those guys always there? Why do I suddenly have stage fright? Were the lights always this bright? Why am I so scared all of a sudden? As like some of the, not the artifice, but that fourth wall just comes crumbling down in some of that performance.
They blew it up Mad Max style.
Yeah, some of that bravado has fallen away when Hikari asks her, is that what you really think, or was that just the line that you're performing? Because she's still on this track of, you are my stage, you are my star, you are my goal. And that's not true. That's not true anymore. She gets broken down, has that rebirth moment, does the transformation sequence again, and comes back out the other side so they can have a bitch-ass fight scene. Hikari is beautiful, is terrifying. I'm envious. I know this about myself. I still love her, though. I never want to lose her again. I gave it all for the Revue Starlight. I may have burned out entirely and I'm empty now, but I'm just going to find a new passion and do it all again.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into final thoughts. Jet, no, you go ahead.
Sure, I'll be real quick. I had a pretty good time with this. Again, it's been a hot minute since I watched the TV series. So I was actually kind of a little worried going into this movie that I would be a bit lost. And while it did take me a little bit, I guess, for my brain to get refreshed on some of the events of the TV series, it didn't take that long. And the movie itself was so engrossing that after a while it didn't really matter. I was just engaged in all the drama between these characters and seeing how all their individual arcs were resolved. I thought the way the movie handled that was really satisfying. And again, it helped that the movie in general just kind of looks fantastic visually. Like, I really like the way it handles a lot of the visual symbolism and all the review performances, the music. It's just really phenomenal. As for the dub, like I said before, the direction is, I'm a little bit mixed on. The early parts of the film definitely felt a bit stiffer than I would have liked. But I thought it definitely got better as it got along. By the time we got to the last part of the movie, I thought that everyone was firing on all cylinders. And I really liked a lot of performances towards the final act. So, on the whole, not one of the strongest Sentai dubs, but it definitely did get better as it went along. So, if you're willing to put up with maybe a bit of a rough start, I think you'll have a pretty decent time with this one. And in general, I think this is a pretty worthwhile film to check out. If you've seen the TV or series and you liked what you saw there, definitely give this movie a go. It's a really fantastic conclusion to that story, and I really liked everything they did with it here.
Jackson.
What the fuck did I just watch? I am overwhelmed by all of the spectacle that was on display. That was wild. There was a giraffe, he turned into fruit, and then he lit on fire. This is going to give me nightmares. Just huge, massive, spectacle, and theater kids turned into shonen battle heroes in a contest of who can outgay the other person. Just incredible work. This is a huge upgrade from the TV series in all respects. Quite the amazing time. Glad to be along for this crazy train ride.
Yeah, that's the thing I feel like for me is it is also a hot minute since I watched the show. So I think the thing for me that really sealed it for me is this is an anime movie how it should be. We live, unfortunately, in a world where Mugen Train made $1 bajillion, and now everybody and their mom thinks that we need to stick arcs of anime into movies. Instead of using a movie to, maybe shore up a finale and give some closure. It is an absolute Sakuga fest. I think midway through the movie watching this, my immediate thought was, can Kinema Citrus make its own original Magical Girl show? Instead of having to work on Shield Hero.
I'm pretty sure doing their own version of The Little Mermaid next year, so...
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, they are doing a Little Mermaid show next year. I totally forgot about that. What I mean by magical girl show is I mean, like, hardcore, like, Precure Sailor Moon, like, level shit.
Those girls throw hands, and these ones do just as well.
But I think, to me, the dub does stand up. It to me, is a good, like, solid, like, 8 out of 10 dub. It is not the best thing that Sentai has ever produced, nor is it the worst dub that Sentai has ever produced. I think that it definitely was a lot stronger than its show's counterpart, and goddamn does Brittany Kurbowski really seal it as Karen, being one of my favorite performances of her of all time. Also, again, this movie is very sapphic. So if you want a good, fun time, check this out, though I do 100% recommend watching the show beforehand for obvious reasons, given that this is a direct sequel to it. It would be like starting Psycho-Pass at Psycho-Pass 2 and wondering what the fuck happened. Or like watching the new Psycho-Pass movies and going, what the fuck?
Megan, what on earth are you talking about? What's this Psycho-Pass 2 you speak of?
Oh yeah, that's right, I'm sorry. This would be like watching Mugen Train and wondering what the fuck is happening. If you would like to watch this, I will say this though. Unfortunately, Revue Starlight the series is no longer streaming anywhere legally. It is no longer on High Dive. You will have to somehow purchase it. That being said, the film itself is on High Dive. There are 2 recap films, I believe, for the show, but I don't think they are included in the purchase of the film. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the recap films. It is just the film from Sentai, and Sentai does still have the show on sale, at least for right now, and it is a very affordable $14 right now as of the time of this recording. But yeah, if you want to check it out, pick up the Blu-ray, but you can at least watch the movie streaming. If you like us and what we do, we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You can follow us here on YouTube. You can follow us over on Blue Sky, the shambling corpse of a certain website we call Twitter. And if you would like to support us on the one time, we have a Ko-fi account you can hit, but if you'd like to support us on the regular, you can join our Patreon, and at $5 you get a shout out, such as our fans Bright Eyes 505, Just J2, Kimwa Soup, Marissa Lenti, Michelle Travis, and my parents. And at our $10 tier, Anthony Brown, Carly Lesticow, Julia W, Pika Greg, and Shoulder. Guys, where can they find you?
I'm Jet. You can find me on Blue Sky at Jet Zero Infinity, where I'm usually be talking about anime, manga, politics. I guess is whatever it is I feel like doing. You can also find me in another podcast, Surreal Resolutions Podcast O-Day, where I'll usually be shooting the breeze about anime news alongside fellow Don't Talk host Andrew. You can also find me on my blog, Animation Infinity, where I'll sometimes write about whatever shonen stuff I'm reading if I feel like it. And then finally, you can catch me doing freelance reviews on and still currently doing reviews for Yaiba and Witch Watch, so give those a read if you get the chance.
Nice. Jackson?
Yeah, I'm Nine Claw Tiger on most platforms, Twitter, Blue Sky. Don't go looking for my Discord, you won't find it. That's about it, really. I gotta get out of here and get back to my horse girls. There's my Nintendo as a horse that's waiting for me, named Symboli Rudolph.
Oh, you have her too, cool. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Queenera. I too am currently obsessed with horse girls. I have a daughter, her name is Haru Urara, everyone's favorite loser baby.
She's gonna win. She's gonna win.
She's gonna win, I'm gonna make her win. But with that being said, we do want to give one more shout out to Gabby Piccinelli, who does our theme song. You can follow Gabby at GabRPliccinelli at Blue Sky, as well as condition them at ponpocointhedistance.com. Always gotta make sure I shout them out. That being said, I think this play is over. We can all now go to the Denny's.
We're gonna go to the Denny's and throw hands, and then win Evo, and then put on an Idol concert.
And then we're gonna show the guy who makes tech in a Waffle House.
Exactly.
Good night, everybody.
And I don't know.
Bye, Nene.